Well guys, late last night I posted a video here on the main channel called my next $1 million+ stock, okay? And in that video I went into Dropbox stock very into detail on why I am so excited about that stock for the next 5 years. And I gave my full bullish thesis out there, went super in depth on this, and I got a lot of negative comments on that video, okay? Now, first off, whenever I get into any new position and I'm talking super hyped about it, okay, I always get a lot of negative comments. Like, this is consistent every single time I come out with a new stock. There's always a lot of like negativity around that stock and just like, oh, this is gonna be a huge losing stock for you and things like that. Not negative comments in the terms of like, I hate you, you're so dumb or something like that. Just like negativity around the business model, people trying to poke holes at it and things like that, which I think is completely good. I think everybody should always walk into any investment with skepticism, right? And so being that this is a huge position for me, and I said in that video, I could make this my biggest position in my accounts or close to my biggest position, right? This is kind of important that I at least come out and defend the 3 core comments I was getting time and time again. I went through them last night and I was like, dang man, there's a lot of negative comments and they're all in one of these 3 categories essentially, okay? 3 constant negative comments we got on that video, okay? The first one that I'll address is competition. And basically everybody talking about Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, well not everybody, but a lot of people talking about Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, they're gonna crush Dropbox, okay? Ton of people talking about competition, we'll address that in this video, okay? Number 2, people saying the stock hasn't done anything since it went IPO, so therefore it's a loser stock, you shouldn't get involved with it, it's just not gonna be a good stock because it hasn't done anything in the past, we'll discuss that. And the third thing is shorts, okay? A lot of shorts in this stock, and this was a comment I got much less than those other two were the main ones, but you know, some people brought up like short selling, things like that, how you deal with the shorts, because the stock is actually pretty heavily shorted, and I'll show you guys this today. I mean, it's like almost as shorted as Tesla, believe it or not, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoy a video like this where I come out and defend a stock that I'm getting in big time. You know, I don't have to do this, but I thought it would be really cool to like address this and then kind of the negativity around the stock. So if you don't mind, smash the thumbs up. That helps YouTube channel out in a massive way. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you appreciate me, you know, sharing the stocks I'm buying and things like that. And also, if you're looking to learn directly from me on how to make more money in the stock market while taking less risk, check out the first link in the description down there. We actually even offer one-on-one coaching now, some of my millionaire students, if that's ever something you're interested in, okay? So let's start getting in this. Number 1, the competition, okay? Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. This was consistently brought up in the comment section. These 2 companies, they're gonna crush Dropbox, things like that, okay? So where I want to start out with this, okay, let's just find out. Is Microsoft and Google, are they new competition here, or have they been in this for a while, okay? When did Dropbox come out? 2007. When did OneDrive from Microsoft come out? 2007. When did Google Drive, their cloud product, come out? 2012, okay? All these products are extremely well established. They've all been in mass market for the longest time. And so you'd think the fact that all these companies have been competing with each other forever and ever, you'd think like Dropbox might not have grown, right? Because I mean, the competition's been there for all these years. It's not like it's new. And what we find is Dropbox isn't getting crushed. Actually, Dropbox is just crushing it, okay? Dropbox is doing insanely well. Like, look at the past 5 years of revenue for this company. Look at the way it's grown from $604 million of revenue to $845 million of revenue to $1.1 billion in revenue to just under $1.4 billion of revenue to last year, $1.66 billion of revenue, okay? This company has not been crushed by Google and Microsoft. It continues to just crush it, okay? It's just doing amazing. Meanwhile, Google and Microsoft are doing amazing as well, okay? They don't need to crush Dropbox to win, okay? I can tell you that much. All the companies are thriving in the space. But that's over the past few years. What about recently? Maybe recently there's been a change and maybe they're getting crushed now. No, I mean, look at the revenue growth. This was literally just reported last month, okay, out of Dropbox. Revenue grew to $467 million in the latest quarter, up 16% year over year. So not only has this company grown throughout all this competition with them, Microsoft and Google, but they continue to thrive and they continue to grow larger and larger and larger and put up amazing growth numbers. Free cash flow came in at $120 million in the latest quarter. And not just that, the company's expected to grow 14.2% next quarter, the quarter after that, 10.8%. This current year, they're expected to grow 14.4%. And next year in 2021, the company is expected to grow right around 11%. And don't be surprised if every single one of those numbers you see right there will be beat, okay? If you look at Dropbox historically, the company beats quarter in and quarter out. So don't be surprised if all those numbers I'm showing you right there are low. They'll probably come in better than that, okay? And so when you look at all this and you look at just the growth year after year after year, the constant growth, the expected growth, why haven't they been crushed? Like why haven't they been crushed? Like there's no new competition in this market. Google, Microsoft, Dropbox. These are the three main players kind of in this cloud space of consumer cloud, and Dropbox is even evolving their business into more things now. So why haven't they been crushed? This isn't new. Like I don't know if people think like Google's new or Microsoft's new to like the cloud. No, they've been taking this super serious for a long time. And kind of a cardinal sin I'm seeing made out there is people think just because they personally might use Google or they personally might use Microsoft, that therefore it means Dropbox is irrelevant. I can just tell you, just because you don't personally use a product or service, it doesn't mean that company's irrelevant. Let me be very clear about that, okay? Perfect example is Microsoft. I don't use one Microsoft product. I don't have any Microsoft products. I don't think anybody in my entire business uses Microsoft products, okay? We all use Apple devices and we all use other softwares and things outside of Microsoft, okay? So my entire business model and me on an everyday basis never use Microsoft. It doesn't mean Microsoft's irrelevant just because I don't personally use it or my business doesn't use it. Microsoft has a $1.52 trillion market cap. They don't need me. And it would be very, let's say, ignorant for me to say, well, I don't personally use it, so therefore Microsoft's irrelevant, so I should never consider Microsoft as an investment. No, absolutely not. That's not the way this works, man. I have to take Microsoft seriously all the time, even if I don't use their business. It doesn't take me, a rocket scientist for me to like figure out like Microsoft's an extremely valuable company that should be valued at $1 trillion plus, because amazing business model that tons of people do use and tons of people do love, okay? You shouldn't have to personally own a Tesla to realize like Tesla's an amazing company doing amazing things, right? That's great if you do, and it's great if you've tried the product, but at the same time, you don't have to personally use a Tesla day in and day out to understand like Tesla's a game-changing company, right? NVIDIA, I don't use any NVIDIA products. I can't think of one NVIDIA product I have in my household, but at the same time, I recognize NVIDIA is an amazing company that massive amounts of people absolutely love, and that's why it has a $300 billion market cap on that company. It would be silly for me to say, well, I don't use any NVIDIA products, and I use these other processors or something else. So NVIDIA, it's not the way this works, guys. So we go back to this. Like, just because you don't personally use a product or service doesn't mean that company is irrelevant. Just at the end of the day, just keep that in mind, okay? It's a big mistake a lot of investors make out there, okay? Number two, this is a second thing. I saw a lot of comments like this, like stock hasn't done anything, it's a loser stock, why even get involved with that? It's done nothing but kind of go down since IPO and whatnot. And, in terms of, has a stock not done anything? Absolutely, you're 100% right, okay? The company went public, what was that, March 2018? It was in the high 20s. It's $19 here today. And when I did that video yesterday, it was what, $18 and some change Dropbox, which means it's fallen like what, $10 plus per share since that IPO. And I can tell you, that means literally nothing. I mean, literally nothing. Okay, let me be very clear, nothing, okay? Past performance of a stock does not equal future performance. Just because a stock went up a bunch does not mean that stock's gonna keep going up. Just because a stock went down a bunch doesn't mean that stock's gonna keep going down. That's just not the way this works, okay? Let's say, for instance, we're gonna flip a coin, okay? Now, I don't have any coins around, but I always have some cash around in case somebody wants to get it playing some Texas Hold'em, or go play some Top Golf and somebody wants me to take their money or something like that. I'll do that, okay? So I always got some cash around. So let's say I got, this $2,000 worth 20s and I flip it, okay? I mean, some of you guys could be thinking like, maybe it'll land on heads. Well, maybe it'll land on tails. We don't know, okay? So I flip it, it lands on tails. Now, once it lands on tails, right, there's still a 50% probability the next time it could come up tails or heads, right? But you could be thinking, well, it fell on tails that time, so that means next time it's due to come up heads, right? No, that's not the way this works, okay? It's still a 50% probability, regardless of what happened this time, still a 50% probability it could go up or down, okay? Some people might be thinking, well, it went down, so it's gonna go down again. That's not the way this works. It's still a 50% probability, so I flip it again. It lands on tails again. People are like, oh my gosh, it lands on tails again, so it's gotta keep landing on tails, right? I flip it again, it lands on heads. It's a 50% probability each time, okay? Nothing about the past matters at all when it comes to stock prices, flipping a coin, those sorts of things. All that matters is the future. I care personally about where Dropbox stock or any stock I'm getting involved with is going in 2021, 2022, 2023, and future years. That's what matters to me. I don't care if a stock's gone up a ton, down a ton, done absolutely nothing, okay? It means literally nothing to me. What matters at the end of the day, what differentiates a super successful stock market investor or businessman, women out there, okay? It's two things: fundamentals, valuation, and that's it, okay? Fundamentals and valuation, that's all that matters. Not whether that stock went up or down yesterday, last month, last year, okay? Fundamentals, valuation. How much are you paying for that company? What's that company doing? What's its competitors? How's it doing in the market? Is it growing? Is it likely to thrive in the future? All those sorts of things. That's what matters, okay? I posted a video on my Instagram the other day, right? My personal Instagram. I don't post a lot of videos on there anymore. And it was an interesting video. It was basically this great interview that was done with Jeff Bezos. And there aren't a ton of Jeff Bezos interviews out there, by the way. And it was done, right? And Jeff Bezos, in that interview, at one moment, he talks about how Amazon stock fell right after the tech bubble. It went from $113 to $6, okay? That's one of the most dramatic falls you'll ever hear about in the stock market ever in your life, okay? I mean, if it fell from $18 to $6, that would be insane, right? That would be like a 60-something% drop, right? And that would make you say, what the heck, that's insane. 113 to 6 is ridiculous, okay? It didn't mean like Amazon stock was not a buy at 20, at 10, at 30, at 40. No, of course not. That's not what it means at all. Just because the stock had been going down doesn't mean you should look at Amazon and be like, well, it's $6, it's $8, it's $14, I shouldn't buy it. No, of course not. You should be looking at the fundamentals and what the valuation was at that time, and then kind of decide, do you want to buy that stock or not buy that stock? That's how the decision should be made, okay? Tesla stock, right? In the public count, we're up, ridiculous. 795% on that stock. Absolutely incredible, okay? I mean, it would be incredible if I was up 200 or 300% on that stock. Never mind 795% on that stock, okay? Tesla stock did nothing for over 5 years. I mean, absolutely nothing. It had its up days and down days and up days and down days, but it literally went nowhere for over 5 years. I could have looked at that and been like, well, Tesla stock price hasn't done anything over the last few years, so I shouldn't get involved with that, right? I started buying that stock heavy about 2 years ago, roughly, right? And I just kept adding, basically between 1 year ago and 2 years ago, right? And I easily could have looked at it that way and been like, well, its stock hasn't moved for years, so it's just not going to continue to move. No, that's not the way this works, okay? It's just not the way this goes. I need to look at the fundamentals of the company, where the valuation was at, and I said, this stock is priced silly, and this is one of the best deals I can get in the stock market. And the rest is history. Let's just put it that way, okay? Nvidia stock did nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing from 2007 to 2015. Nvidia, nada, okay? If you were looking into Nvidia stock, you could have said, let's say you were looking into the stock, heavily in 2013, 2014. You could have looked at the stock and been like, well, it's done nothing for years, so I shouldn't get involved with that stock. It's just it's a bad stock because it hasn't done anything. No, you need to be looking at the fundamentals, where the valuation was at. I mean, that would have been really ridiculous for you to have not bought Nvidia at, it was trading back then at like $15, $20, $25 a share, all because, it hadn't done anything. All that matters is fundamentals, your understanding of it, and valuation, okay? That's what matters. What about this stock here? This stock went down over 50% after its IPO. Over 50%. As investors, we could have written that stock off and been like, that's a bad stock. No one believes in that stock. It's gone down 50% plus since IPO, right? You know what company that was? Facebook. It was Facebook, okay? Facebook went down over 50% after its IPO. I mean, would that have been smart or really silly to have written off Facebook stock at $18 a share? Obviously, it would have been really silly to be like, well, it's gone down since IPO, so I can't buy it. No, okay? Just no, okay? Just because the stock has not done anything means nothing. That's not the way this works. It's not the way any of this works, okay? Past performance is whatever, okay? Fundamentals, valuation, all right? Now, let's talk about shorts, dealing with the shorts, short sellers, things like that, okay? So, Dropbox, look at this. The short percentage as a float of Dropbox stock, right around 7%, okay? Not a small number. That's actually, there's a lot of people short selling Dropbox stock. Let's just put it that way, for that number to be that high. For reference, Tesla's right around that same level, okay? In terms of Tesla, the short percentage of float is 7.3%, okay? That's rather large. That's right there with Dropbox. And so if you're looking at this, it might kind of scare you a little bit. It might be, well, whoa, a lot of people don't believe in this stock, right? Same way a lot of people didn't believe in Tesla. By the way, Tesla's short percentage has come down, quite significantly over time. Let's just put it that way. But, a lot of people don't believe in Dropbox the same way a lot of people haven't believed in a lot of companies, right? And so it leads to a lot of shorts. And let me be very clear. I used to view shorts as the enemy. I really did. The shorts are not my enemy. The short sellers are not my enemy. The people that are negative around Dropbox stock or any stock I'm involved with, they are not my enemies. They just aren't. They're my best friends, to be quite honest, okay? They are my best friends, to be quite honest, okay? The short sellers, what do these folks do? They write negative articles. They come out with negative research reports that try to, show why this stock is a bad stock and why no one should invest in a stock, things like that, right? This happens with all stocks that short sellers, get into, essentially, okay? And remember, Dropbox literally has, in terms of the percentage of float short out there, like the same as Tesla. Like, that's a big number, right? And so, there's a lot of people short this stock and don't believe in it, right? They comment negativity all the time. I mean, geez, you can't go onto a message board or anywhere and try to talk about one of these stocks if they have a huge short percentage, because as soon as you talk about anything, the short sellers usually bring a very immature, debate to the stock. That's just the way it goes, okay? Usually they don't like to talk on facts. They usually just like to talk in craziness, let's just put it that way. And to be short selling stocks, you usually have to be fairly crazy, because it's usually, you just make way more money going long stocks on great companies, and it's way less stressful, and you don't have to worry about margin calls and things like that, and the whole system's rigged in your favor. But, to be short, you have to be a little crazy. And so they just comment, just completely ridiculous stuff. They won't usually make up anything they can possibly make up. But when they're doing all that, when they're doing what they do and they're scaring everybody out of that stock or scaring everybody from that stock, right? It keeps the stock price lower than it should be, right? Because investors read this stuff and they're like, oh my gosh, and whether it's lie or it's truth or it's half truth, I mean, people read it and a lot of people just say, I can't get involved with that stock because of what I just read from that comment from that guy. Maybe there's some truth to that, or that article was so negative on this company. I can't read that. So it just keeps the stock price lower than really what it should be, because people just say, I can't buy it. I can't buy it. I don't want in that, okay? And so it lets me, essentially, if I'm getting in a stock that's heavily shorted, it lets me buy in over an extended period of time for a cheaper price than it really should be, right? Because all these shorts are putting out all this negativity all the time, and they're keeping the stock price kind of artificially low, right? Because they're constantly trying to scare people away from the stock. I mean, anytime anything positive comes out about a stock and people can comment negativity, especially in terms of short sellers, they will do it in mass. I mean, it's like a flood. Like, as soon as, like they're so much more passionate than longs when it comes to giving their bearish thesis or just talking crazy negative things about it. Why? Because they're on the hook in a really bad way. And if things go the other way, there's an unlimited loss for these individuals. Unlimited loss, okay? If you had an unlimited loss, you'd need to, write negative things every single time anything positive came out as well. So it lets you build a position. And this is a stock that I want to keep buying for the next 3 to 6 months. I don't just buy in a stock all in one day. I've been building a really nice position in Dropbox. I want to continue to buy the stock for at least the next 3 to 6 months, if not the next year. I want to keep buying in chunks, $5,000, $15,000, $25,000 chunks, chunk, and just keep building the position bigger and bigger and bigger. And man, when you got short sellers constantly bringing negativity to that stock, it just keeps a lot of the longs away in the short term, and it lets you build a really nice position. Let's just put it that way. And in the Tesla situation, I know we always used to get frustrated with the longs and the things they would fabricate out there and things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they kept a lot of investors from getting in that stock, and us that were, let's call it brave enough or had, enough smarts to kind of realize what was going on there. A lot of us got in that stock for a much lower price than we should have been able to get in that stock. Let's just put it that way. And it is what it is, okay? And so those are the 3 constant negative comments we got on that video yesterday in terms of Dropbox. And I hope I did a good job of addressing those. And, if I didn't, it is what it is. But that's about it for the Dropbox, all right? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, if you don't mind, smash that thumbs up. Helps out the YouTube channel in a massive way, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Also, if you want to learn directly from me on how to make more money in the stock market by taking less risk, you want to apply for my private group, things like that, check out first link in the description down there. Thank you for watching and have a great day.